here. Welcome back to my Country Craft Corner. I'm finally going to start working on my St. Patrick's Day big cream and green burlap wreath today. I had to take yesterday off. It was Valentine's Day yesterday, so Chris and I went out to dinner, and I also took some time in the morning to write my Alaska cruise wardrobe blog. I'll put a link for that in the description just in case anyone is interested in what I wear on a cruise. But I say in there I'm no fashionista, which is the truth. So anyway, I'm fixing to get started on this. It shouldn't take very long, and it shouldn't be that difficult of a wreath. If there are any beginners out there, this might be one for you guys to try. I am making a big one. It's going to be on a 24-inch wreath frame, and I will show you all my supplies here in a second. I've also been asked to let you guys know how much it costs to make my wreaths, and trust me, some of them are a little bit pricey, even with using coupons and only buying things on sale, because I tend to put a lot of accent pieces on my wreaths. So, but I will definitely let you know how much I spend on them moving forward from here. Let's see, was there anything else I wanted to say? I don't think so, other than I'm going to refer you back to a little video I did the other day telling you that I'm going to be using the same wreath frame for this wreath and then for my Easter wreath. So I'm going to try really hard today not to use any glue on this wreath so that I can just have the basic burlap on the wreath, and then, you know, add all my St. Patrick's Day accents, and then for Easter remove all the St. Patty's Day and add all the Easter. So we're going to see how this will work. So all right, I'm going to turn my camera around and turn the lights on in here and get started crafting. Come on along with me, and we'll make ourselves a pretty St. Patrick's Day wreath. Be right back. Hey everybody. Alrighty, the first thing I'm going to do is to go through all my supplies and show you what I will be using to create this wreath. And as I mentioned in my opening there, I'm going to give you the prices of everything and give you a total of how much it's costing me to make this wreath. So let's start with the wreath frame. This is a 24-inch work wreath. And you'll see I got it right after Christmas, which is a great hint for you guys. This is a great time to stock up on these wreath forms. That thing literally cost me $2 because it was on a deep sale. Next, I'll be using this cream burlap. I do believe it cost me right around $15 online. I'll give you a link and y'all can prove me wrong if I'm not remembering that right. It's between $13 and $15 for a bolt of this, 14 inches by 10 yards. I don't think I'll need more than one bolt, but if I do, then you'd have to add a few dollars. Then I'm going to be using these plastic flowers. Each bunch, I've got 2 bunches, each bunch cost $5. They were 50% off, so both bunches cost me $5. Have a big burlap flower. It cost me $6, but I got it for 50% off, so that's $3 for that. Got a green burlap for a big bow ribbon. I had to order this off of Amazon, and I had to pay $10 for that, but I knew what I wanted, so I bit the bullet and went ahead and paid $10 for that. And then there's the sign, and it was $5.99, and I did pay that because I got it from Ann That, and it was not on sale. So all told, the total then will be $41, unless we have to add a few for more burlap if I run a little short on that. So $41 to create this wreath. And I think you'll see when it's done, if you saw this in a store, it would probably cost every bit of twice that, if not a little bit more. Other things that I'll be using is some full wire, scissors, wire cutters to cut the wire with, and one lonely pipe cleaner to tie the bow shut with, and some toothpicks. And you're going to see where they'll come into play. Hopefully they'll come into play later, because remember, I'm not using glue on this wreath, and I need to figure out a way to close that burlap over these chenille ties so we can see this lovely green. Even though it's St. Patty's Day, we don't need this green shining on through. All right, I'll be back. All right, the first thing I want to do for you guys is to do a quick bow tutorial. And this is obviously two-sided ribbon, but it is not wired. For those of you who might be new to bow making, do purchase wired ribbon. It makes it so much easier, and it is easier if you purchase double-sided ribbon. That way you don't have to twist. If I had to keep one side up, I'd have to be twisting and turning. I'll show you as I make the wreath. I'll probably be using this entire bolt, and I'm not too worried about it. I also need a pipe cleaner and a pair of scissors to make a bow. I'm not too worried about this bow not having a wire though, because I'm going to cinch it down really tight, which onto the wreath form, which will help the bow kind of pooch out a little bit, and it'll keep it into place. So here we go. Like I said, I'm going to make a pretty big flouncy bow, for lack of a better word. First thing you do is take the end and fold it towards yourself, and that will be one of your loops. I'm going to make a tiered bow or a graduated bow, so I'm going to get bigger with each set of 2 loops. So there's my first loop, and then I come down here and I grab and I fold it up and over itself to make the second loop. And you want to overlap this pretty far, because when you go to manipulate it and fix it when you're finished, you don't want it to pull out. There's nothing more frustrating than that. So then you pinch it together, and this is big ribbon, so you might even see me struggling with this a little bit. So to make your center loop, I make it right at the beginning of my bow. You take your ribbon, turn it kind of under itself, toward yourself, and then under itself, and grab it with your thumb, and then accordion it together underneath, and grab it with your forefinger and your thumb underneath as you're doing it. And I can always scrunch that down. That's going to look like a pretty big center of the bow, but I can't really do anything about that because it's such wide ribbon. So, all right, on we go. I think I'm going to be doing a 4-loop bow. So I'm going that, which means I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on this side, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 loops on this side. Then I'll have 3 tails that will hang down. So here we go on this side. You start going out on your next row of loops. You want to make these loops about 1/2 inch to 1 inch longer than your first loop. Same concept, turn it under itself, grab it from behind, accordion it together, and hang on for dear life. And yes, as I mentioned before, your hand will cramp. You can't do anything about it. And for those of you ladies who have arthritis, I would say if you use narrower ribbon, it's not as difficult. The wider the ribbon, the more difficult it is to manipulate. So you might want to start out using a smaller width ribbon. All right, as I continue on, as you come out this side, your ribbon is going to be fed out, automatically go to the side you need it to go. So I come on this side, and again, I make this loop about 1/2 inch. That's what I'm doing on this bow, longer than the loop before. Then I want to come out here. Here's the 3rd loop. Same concept, turn it under itself, accordion it together. It's come out this side. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I have to make the whole wreath in this video too. So same concept, put it underneath of itself, scrunch it together. 1 more loop on each side. Here's the 4th loop. Again, 1/2 inch longer. Grab it, accordion it together, hang on tight. Come on out this side. Same thing, a little bit longer. Accordion it together. There we go. So there's all 4 loops, and I can't really even hold it up to show you it all quite yet because my hand is really cramping. So I'm going to finish off here. There we go. That way I'll have more to play with. There we go. Scrunch it together, hold it really tight. Cut that big loop in half. So that'll be 1, 2, and then over here, this is all curled up here at the end. This is the end of the boat. That'll be 3 tails hanging down. So there we go. Take your pipe cleaner. Don't wear a thumb ring on these days. I've done that, and I've fed the pipe cleaner right through my thumb ring. Oh yes, that's a little frustrating. Anyway, feed your pipe cleaner over your thumb, but under the loop, and then grab it with your thumb. Go to about the halfway point, and then grab it with your thumb and put it behind the wreath and come on around this side and hold the pipe cleaner together with your right hand, or whatever hand you're not using to hold the bow shut, and then twist and twist and twist and twist. And that should hold it together nicely. I think you'll see when I get it on the wreath and I cinch it down, it's going to push all those loops forward, and it'll be a really pretty bow. So let me trim this, cut this one big loop in half, and I'll set this bow aside until I'm ready for it. And we're going to move over and start creating the wreath. Be right back. All right, as always, I'm going to do this wreath in a looping fashion because that's the way I like to do them. And I'm going to start by holding on to the end of the burlap and letting the rest of it drop to the floor. I'm going to accordion together the end of it. I always start on the outer ring, and I leave enough tuck out there so that I can tuck it behind and in between the 2 rungs on the wreath. Then I make my first loop. I try to make my loops 10 to 12 inches long on these bigger wreaths especially. And I don't measure them, I just eyeball them. Then I back them up, and it's the beauty of the burlap there, a little something in there, and cinch it into the twist ties. Just like that. And I work my way around the entire outer ring in the same fashion. And I'm going to speed this up for time purposes. And be back when I get around there, and I'll show you how I transfer over to the inner ring. Be back in just a minute. Alrighty, here I am, coming in to the very last chenille tie. I've put a loop in each free chenille tie. So here's where I started, right here, and I'm going to piggyback my next loop right on top of this loop. And I'm not going to undo the chenille tie to do it because I don't have any accent pieces. If I did, I may want to untwist this just to give myself a smidge more room. But since I don't have a lot of accent pieces on this, I will not untwist it. So I just put the last loop in. One other hint to try not to twist your burlap as you're going around. Try to keep, for those of you who sew kind of right side up, don't twist it because you will end up with a hot mess, trust me. So, all right, to transition over to the inner ring, I make my next loop just as if I were going to go to the next outer loop or outer chenille tie. I will take it over, just trying to transfer over to the inner rings chenille tie right there. And you know what? Sometimes some of these chenille ties are not perfectly set on the wreath or installed, you know, right beside one another. Sometimes they're kind of at an angle from one another. It doesn't matter. Once you get your wreath made, it surely doesn't matter. Just go to what the next natural chenille tie would be. And you start making your loops in the same manner as you did, going around the outer ring, and go around the inner ring all the way around to the end. And I will be back to show you how I finish off the burlap in just a second. I'm going to speed up now. All right, here I am, and I've come all the way around, and I've put burlap into every free chenille tie. So now the way I end these is to make one more loop, and I just, pardon me, I just piggyback it right in to where I began the inner rings row. And that way it covers up the metal frame. I've got a dog wanting in. Hang on, I'll be right back. So I just trim off, leave myself a little bit of a tail there. Trim it off and then tuck that tail down between the rings of the burlap. And as you see, I used most of that bolt. So I roll this back up. First thing I think I'll try to attach is this St. Patrick's Day sign. I need to put the bow right exactly straight down from where I'm going to be putting the flowers in. So I need to make sure that that's going to be centered right there. So that is where I'm going to take the price tag off, huh? Do that first. I'm going to hang the St. Patrick's Day sign. And I'm going to use the chenille tie. As I said, I'm not going to glue anything. Use the chenille tie and tie it right in like that. Here we go. That was not very hard, huh? All right, next thing, I'm going to make a little tuft of these plastic flowers. I want them to be opposite of one another. I think I'm just going to tie them in just like that. I was going to cut them down and wire them together with that wire, but I don't think I'm going to need to, you guys. Let me turn it around here a little bit. I think I'm just going to cinch, just use the, I'm going to come on down a row and use the chenille ties to, I'm not sure why my camera shut right off, but we're back. Sorry about that. I'm going to try to make sure I have the green flowers kind of pooched up a little bit, and then I'm just going to tie these on very gently with the chenille tie. There we go. Then I'm going to take my one burlap flower and stick the stem on it between the rungs and cinch it right up to the top. Tie that twist top, put the chenille tie right around the right below where the flower stops, right on the stem. You know what, you guys? Remember those green and white St. Patty's Day flowers I bought the other day? I think I might need them. Hang on, I'll be right back. All right, you guys. I purchased these flowers the other day, and I said that I had decided I wasn't going to use any on this wreath, but now that this thing is not one to come together like I thought it would. See, sometimes I have to tweak and make changes too, y'all. So I'm still not going to use any glue, but I am going to add a few of these green flowers, not the white ones, because the white I don't like the white and cream together. But just a few of the green ones up here. And I will cinch them on with the twist ties underneath. Just to add a little something something. I think I like that. That's going to pull it all together. Now I need to find the inner ring here. I always tie these big bows onto the inner ring, and I try to cinch it down really, really, really tight, especially when they don't have any wire, when the ribbon doesn't have any wire. So there we go. Oh, as tight as I can. Twist it on there. There we go. I need to figure out how to, I think what I'm going to do to hide these chenille ties, I'm going to put them in the back. Take all of the ends and I'm going to push them into the back and through the rings. And then I'm going to take wherever I see wherever I can still see the green, I'm going to tuck the burlap together. I'll take one of my handy dandy toothpicks. Now this is going to be interesting to see if I can get this to work. And then I'm going to weave the toothpick kind of underneath and through. And look at that. That is going to work beautifully. That is going to hide that chenille tie and you're never going to know it's there. Huh. You know who came up with that idea? Not me. Chris. He's a genius. I'm telling you guys, he's a genius. So let me do a little tweaking with everything. And I will be back in a second. Alrighty guys, here we go. Here's the finished wreath. And I like it. It did take a little tweaking, I will admit. It did. It was a little bit more work for me to use those toothpicks and to get them in and to get them situated. But they did work. I will say they did work. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'm glad that I added some of the green flowers. And I would say you can add about $3 more to the cost of this wreath because I did need to add those. For me, everybody might not need to add them, but for me, I wasn't comfortable without having a little bit more pop of green up on the top. I'm very symmetrical, you guys, so I like things to be balanced, and I feel like this is more balanced with the green up top. And you can see how the big fat bow looks on the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I do the tails for the bow. I chevron the bottoms, so all I do is fold the tail in half lengthwise, and I want them all to be about the same length. These are kind of curly and whatever, so they really don't, there's really no rhyme or reason. You don't have to have them the same length. They won't look the same length, but I'm going to try to make them about the length of the one tail I didn't cut, kind of my leftover tail, and it really curls up. So, but I am going to try to make them all about that length. So fold it in half, and some people start at the fold and cut on an angle. I don't. I start on the edge and cut a deep V up toward the fold, and that gives you 2 points to your tail. Do that with all three. And you can do this with any width ribbon. This one I'll do right on the edge, and it's going to curl up and go crazy anyway, and I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to iron it. It's the beauty of crafting. I used to have lady friends when way back in the 80s. Do you remember when we all stenciled back in the 80s? Those of you ladies who are my age, and we stenciled. And I had friends, and we would all get together and we went to each other's house and we stenciled. Good heavens, we had every room in our house stenciled, and they were not fun to paint over. But we used to say if somebody made a mistake, we'd go, "Oh no, I made a mistake," and we'd say, "That's okay. It's the beauty of stenciling." So if you make a mistake on your wreath, it's okay. It's the beauty of wreath making or crafting. really and truly. There are no mistakes, only unique creations. So there we go for the St. Patrick's Day wreath. And again, for the Easter wreath, I'll be taking all the green off and putting all the Easter stuff on this same wreath form. So we'll see how that goes. Alrighty, so back it up even more so you can get the whole thing in the picture. Kind of can't get the whole thing, and I'll take a picture of it. So I will just say, until next time, y'all take good care. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.